What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, oh boy, this one's gonna sting for some fans. We're diving deep into the 10 biggest busts of the 2000s NFL draft era. Now, when I say busts, I don't mean average players or just guys who didn't quite live up to expectations. I'm talking about the players who had the hype, the headlines, the sky-high expectations, and then completely crashed back down to earth. We're talking wasted draft picks, millions of dollars burned, and fan bases left scratching their heads like, what did we just watch? And before we start, yes, I know somebody's going to get mad that their team's favorite flop made this list. So do me a favor, drop in the comments who you think is the biggest bust of the 2000s. If I don't mention them, maybe I'll do a part 2. All right, let's kick this off. Hashtag 10. Matt Leinart, QB, Arizona Cardinals. Coming in at number 10, Matt Leinart. Remember when Leinart was the guy at USC? Heisman winner, 2 national championships, celebrity status in Los Angeles. People were calling him the next Joe Montana before he even touched an NFL field. The Cardinals thought they got a steal when he fell to them in 2006. But here's the thing. Matt Leinart cared more about Hollywood than football. Parties, celebrities, the nightlife, it all caught up with him. On the field, he just never had the arm strength. Never had the leadership to really command an NFL huddle. He was eventually replaced by Kurt Warner, who went on to take the Cardinals to the Super Bowl. And Leinart? He faded into obscurity, bouncing around as a backup before quietly retiring. Be honest, how many of you still have that Leinart Cardinals jersey in your closet collecting dust? Número 9, Courtney Brown, de Cleveland Browns. At number 9, Courtney Brown. The Browns had the number 1 overall pick in 2000. They needed a franchise-changing player, and they thought they got one with Penn State's Courtney Brown. Dude was a freak of nature. 6 feet 5 inches, 270 pounds, ran a 4.52 40-yard dash. Scouts were drooling. But the NFL? Not so kind. Injuries destroyed his career. Knee, ankle, elbow, bicep, you name it. By 2005, he was completely out of the league. He finished with just 19 sacks across 6 seasons. Not exactly what you want from your number 1 overall pick. Hashtag 8. Aaron Curry, LB, Seattle Seahawks. At number 8, let's talk about Aaron Curry. Coming out of Wake Forest in 2009, Curry was labeled the safest pick in the draft. I remember analysts literally saying he's bust-proof. Spoiler alert, he was not bust-proof. Seattle took him 4th overall. He was supposed to be this sideline-to-sideline linebacker who would dominate for a decade. Instead, he was slow to adjust, constantly out of position, and looked lost in coverage. By year 3, Seattle gave up and traded him to Oakland. He barely lasted 2 more seasons. Now, the funny twist, Curry eventually became a coach. So at least he's still in football. But as a player, massive bust. Hashtag 7. Joey Harrington, QB, Detroit Lions. Number 7. Joey Harrington. Joey Heisman. The Lions were desperate for a savior in 2002, and they thought they found their franchise quarterback at number 3 overall. But Detroit being Detroit, it didn't work out. Harrington struggled with accuracy, pocket presence, and decision-making. He never threw more touchdowns than interceptions in a season for the Lions. The guy was supposed to turn around a dying franchise, but instead he became another chapter in Detroit's long book of quarterback disasters before Stafford came around. Quick anecdote. The Lions fans were so frustrated with Harrington, they once booed him at a charity event. That's how bad it got. Hashtag 6. Trent Richardson, RB, Cleveland Browns. And number 6, we got Trent Richardson. Okay, technically drafted in 2012, but his hype train started in college football in the late 2000s at Alabama. So I'm bending the rules a bit here. The Browns traded up to get Richardson 3rd overall. He was supposed to be a generational running back, the next Adrian Peterson. But in the NFL, he had no vision, couldn't find the holes, ran straight into defenders half the time. The Browns gave up on him after just 1 season and somehow convinced the Colts to trade a 1st-round pick for him. Colts fans, yeah, you still haven't forgiven your front office for that one. By year 4, Richardson was completely out of the league. Hashtag 5, David Carr, QB, Houston Texans. At number 5, we got David Carr. Now, this one's tricky. Was Carr a bust? Or was he just a victim of being drafted by an expansion team with literally no offensive line? The Texans took him number 1 overall in 2002, and then they let him get sacked 76 times in his rookie year. 76. That's not football. That's attempted murder. Carr never recovered. His confidence was shot, his mechanics fell apart, and he was never able to bounce back, even when he went to other teams. Sometimes it's not just the player, it's the situation. But hey, bust is bust. Hashtag 4. JaMarcus Russell, QB, Oakland Raiders. All right, top 5 territory now. At number 4, the legend himself, JaMarcus Russell. If there's a Mount Rushmore of NFL busts, Russell's face is carved on it. 2007 first overall pick. Cannon for an arm. Could throw the ball 70 yards on his knees. The problem? He couldn't hit a 10-yard slant to save his life. The Raiders gave him $61 million guaranteed, and he repaid them with laziness, weight issues, and a lack of work ethic. Fun fact, the Raiders once gave him blank DVDs and told him they were filled with game film, just to test him. He came back and said, "Yeah, I watched them. Looks good." Yeah, they were literally empty. That pretty much sums up JaMarcus Russell's career. Hashtag 3. Charles Rogers, WR Detroit Lions. At number 3, another Detroit Lion. Charles Rogers. Drafted 2nd overall in 2003, Rogers was supposed to be Calvin Johnson before Calvin Johnson. Big, fast, dynamic, he had all the tools. But injuries destroyed his career. He broke his collarbone twice in back-to-back years. On top of that, he struggled with off-field issues, including substance abuse. By 2006, he was completely out of the league with just 36 catches to his name. Another heartbreaking what-could-have-been story. Hashtag 2. Ryan Leaf, honorable 90s bust shoutout. Now, I know this is technically a 90s guy, but we can't make a bust list without giving Ryan Leaf at least an honorable mention. Drafted 2nd overall in 1998, he set the standard for quarterback busts going into the 2000s. His failure was so monumental that NFL teams literally changed how they scouted quarterbacks in the 2000s. So yeah, Leaf gets his little cameo here. Hashtag 1. JaMarcus Russell. Again? Yes, because he's that bad. Okay, I know I already had JaMarcus Russell at number 4, but honestly, he deserves a number 1 spot too. He's that legendary of a bust. I mean, think about it. The guy had all the tools to be great. Size, arm strength, draft pedigree. And yet he became the punchline to every NFL draft joke for over a decade. When you think NFL bust, your brain automatically goes, JaMarcus Russell. End of discussion. And that's the list, folks. The 10 biggest busts of the 2000s. Some were destroyed by injuries. Some by bad coaching. Some by their own laziness. But all of them have one thing in common. They'll forever be remembered more for their failures than their potential. So I'll ask you again, who do you think is the biggest bust of the 2000s? Did I miss somebody? Should Vince Young, Tim Couch, or Reggie Bush have made the cut? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.